the Honourable Speaker, Honourable Prime Minister, and Honourable Government Members of Parliament, Honourable Members of the Opposition, ladies and gentlemen. Honourable Speaker said, I rise to deliver my ministerial statements to inform this August House about the Ministry of Forestry's ongoing COVID-19 response and TC Herald's housing rehabilitation efforts. I wish to start by extending my best wishes to our brothers and sisters of the Islamic faith on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr. Eid Mubarak to you all. Honourable Speaker, I am honoured to share today the government's efforts in the forestry sector to help address the impact of COVID-19 and the natural disasters that have befallen our beloved nation. As many may recall, Fiji was struck by 3 tropical cyclones in the form of Sarai, Tino, and Herald within a span of 5 months. Their cumulative impact, coupled with a global pandemic, is nothing short of devastating. These disasters have left thousands of Fijians jobless, homeless, and penniless through no fault of theirs. In the history of our nation, Fijians have survived many disasters. We have shown resolve and resilience, but never have we encountered such a lethal combination. COVID-19 in particular is a pandemic of historic proportions. It turned our lives upside down in a matter of days. It did the same to the rest of the world. And like the rest of the world, we are still reeling from its impacts. But this Honourable Speaker say is where real leadership comes in. This is where genuine, wise, intelligent, and compassionate national leadership is propelled to the fore. The Fiji First government, led by our God-anointed Prime Minister, Honourable Burenge Bainimarama, demonstrated very early that it has unmatched capability to put in place measures to cushion the impact of these combined disasters. It depicts that he has the fortitude and agility to handle difficult situations. The world can attest to the results of our decisive actions. COVID-19 affected patients were contained to only 18, 15 of whom have since recovered. No fatalities. I repeat, no fatalities. I join the honourable members of the House in conveying our sincere and profound appreciation to our health workers and all those in the front line, including our discipline services. Many made significant sacrifices, staying away from home for weeks and months to keep the rest of us safe. They are national heroines and heroes. Honourable Speaker say this achievement will go down in the annals of our history as a people. Fijians rallying together to contain the pandemic and succeeding. What a remarkable achievement. Honourable Speaker say our attention is now firmly focused on our economy. We must do all we can to reignite our businesses and trade, to create employment opportunities and allow our people who lost their jobs to secure the basic necessities of life, including putting food on the table. Every sector must count. The forestry sector has taken its hardest hit, even before COVID-19. The sector has always been at the mercy of the weather. Prolonged rainy weather means little or no operations at all. This has always been the case year in and year out. It is little wonder that the sector languishes at the lower end of the economic spectrum in comparison to the other sectors. However, COVID-19 and the natural disasters are providing an opportunity to recalibrate the sector. There is a glimmer of hope. In fact, in the maritime zone, where there are several pine schemes, timber from the trees that were planted 3 to 4 decades ago are now the main product with which we are using to rebuild houses damaged by the natural disasters. The ministry has developed portable sawmills to the islands to harvest the fallen trees. Time is of the essence when trees are damaged by the elements. These trees are being treated and repurposed to rebuild houses. The ministry is working with the Fiji Pine Trust, the Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development, and the Ministry of Housing and Community Development. In Kandavu alone, a total of 300 homes were completely destroyed, and a further 586 homes were partially destroyed. We have also extended assistance to Matuku, Watulele, and Onelau through the provision of portable sawmills, training, and capacity building to empower communities to salvage blown-over pine for their housing needs. Our intention is not to leave anyone behind. And in addition to rebuilding homes, government, through the Ministry of Forestry, is continuing discussions with the resource owners to purchase the fallen trees. It is considering paying stumpage to the resource owners, providing timber to build the homes and trading any surplus timber. It is also considering options to share the proceeds from timber sales with resource owners. We are grateful to the retailers who have indicated their willingness to purchase the surplus timber from the islands. What this means is that there should be enough timber available for our domestic needs. We could even consider exporting. Honorable Speaker say, government's efforts to revive the forestry sector are not done in isolation. I'm happy to inform the August House that the ministry has been consulting with stakeholders to understand their challenges and help address this together. We will continue to build on the recovery strategies. Our consultations have, for instance, afforded the ministry an opportunity to enhance its facilitation process without compromising standards that will ensure the sustainable management of our forest resources. At the same time, the ministry is continuing Fiji's tree planting initiative. Honorable Speaker said, in the past 15 months since His Excellency the President launched Fiji's tree planting revolution, we have planted over 1.9 million trees and mangroves. These trees have been mapped and we now have a live dashboard. We are continuing to plant trees within the COVID-19 social distancing measures. We aim to progress in earnest in the new fiscal year. Honorable speakers say, with COVID-19 forcing people to change their lifestyles, to readjust and recalibrate, people are now rethinking their way of life. Most are turning to backyard gardening and subsistence farming. This has increased the demand for fruit trees like breadfruit, iwi, tarawau, kavika, dawa, camcod, avocado, guava, and etc. As such, the Ministry of Forestry is continuing its effort to empower communities to establish and raise fruit trees, as well as livelihood trees, which could generate returns in a shorter time. They include sikevi, tabola, and even coastal trees like dilo and dongo, to name a few. The ministry will purchase seedlings from these communities for establishment in areas requiring food security and rehabilitation. We are collaborating with the Ministry of Agriculture on this. We are also working with over 150 community nurseries and plan to establish more. I had the privilege of opening 2 nursery distribution centers, Forever and Tailebu, this past Friday. I could already see a bright future for the communities involved. Honorable Speaker said, my ministry, in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, has employed numerous youths to assist in nursery production and tree planting in the Western Division. Collectively, they have helped plant over 100,000 trees in the past 4 months. We are also collaborating with the Ministry of Women to actively engage women's groups in establishing nurseries. Materials for building nurseries and training in raising seedlings will be provided to women and youth in both rural and urban areas. And in the midst of the pandemic, and with the assistance of the United Nations Development Programme, government is coordinating a Cash for Walk or Cash for Tree Planting program, geared especially towards the workers in the tourism industry who lost their jobs due to COVID-19. This program is being facilitated with Conservation International, a civil society organization that has proven itself with community engagement in conservation initiatives. This new program is additional to the UNDP Coordinated Global Environment Fund Ridge to Reef project on reforestation of degraded areas. The Ministry is actively engaging resource owners to plant trees in the specifically identified watershed areas. Honourable Speaker say, at this juncture, I wish to acknowledge the support of our development partners and stakeholders in the forestry sector. The UNDP and the Pacific Community, or SPC, in particular, have been forthcoming. Even the World Bank, which funds Fiji's REDD+ program, continues to support the initiative towards carbon trading, yet another commodity for countries that choose to have more greenery. We have acknowledged its continuing support. While our pine communities are committed to replanting trees that have been felled, it is encouraging to note that stakeholders in the sector have also been re-strategizing to ensure they sustain the job of most workers. The Pine Group of companies, Honourable Speaker say, has had to temporarily close the tropic mill. However, it has continued to engage workers by redeploying them to replanting and restoring harvested land. This is commendable in these trying times. Honourable Speaker say, His Excellency the President had sought renewed efforts in building a future worthy of our children and the future generations' dreams and aspirations. The Ministry of Forestry intends to ensure that the forests and ecosystems we leave behind contribute to achieving our people's dreams and aspirations. Fiji may be a small developing nation, but our work towards planting more trees to address climate change, to protect our environment, to enhance biodiversity, to reconnect us to nature, and to provide a more balanced country for our future generations will make a huge difference. Now, more than ever, we need to plan for the new normal. COVID-19 has taught us that life and nature are interdependent. We cannot take things for granted. Honourable Speaker say, as we work together to rebuild our nation and strengthen our resolve in the midst of adversity, we need to work together as a team and not in isolation. I thank you for this opportunity to update the August House on the government's efforts in the forestry sector. And thank you.